On day 1, I spawned as an itty-bitty Fire Godzilla. This is rad! But wait, I've only got 3 hearts. What? That's not rad at all. But when I focus real hard, I can make little fires. Look, I just set that tree on fire. Uh-oh, it looks like I upset the baboons who were living there. They're coming after me. I better hightail it out of here. I ran off deep into the forest. Being a tiny baby Fire Godzilla wasn't working out great for me so far. Maybe if I can get bigger and stronger, I can use my powers to help people, rather than just burn their houses down. That'll help me make some friends around here. Maybe that big, tough, warped Moscow will be my friend. Hey, I'm Zozo. I'm pretty new around here. Wanna hang out?
Hey, not so fast, buddy. You wanna hang out here? You gotta pay the toll. Empty your pockets, little Fire Godzilla.
But I don't have any money.
Then I guess you better come with me, Zozo. If you can't pay, you gotta work.
That was another bridge I'd already burned. I needed to run before the warped Moscow could get his big, buggy hands on me. I grabbed a few sticks from the forest and hid in a cave. These would make some pretty good torches with a little bit of my fire, so it won't be too dark in here. I proceeded to place down some torches before deciding to go to sleep for the night. I'm gonna need to get a lot stronger if I want to last out here. This place isn't kind to baby Fire Godzillas like me. On day 2, I woke up in the cave to find my torches had gone out overnight. It was so cold and dark. What if there are spiders in here? I should get moving. I left the cave and entered the forest to explore my surroundings. Whoa, this forest is huge! So many trees, so much wood to burn. I needed to be careful in here, or I'd set everything on fire. When I build my own base, it should probably be made out of stone. I needed to break down a couple of these trees and gather some sticks and wood to make a wooden pickaxe. Perfect! This will be great for mining stone. Now I needed to find a good place to build my base. Maybe somewhere around here? Wait, has somebody already built a cabin here? What's happening here? A druid rushed out of the cabin.
Hey, keep your distance, friendo. I just finished this place. I don't need you burning it down.
I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to burn your cabin down. I just needed to find a place to make my base.
Base? What? Are you one of Locknar's guys?
What? No, I'm Zozo. Who's Locknar?
He's a necromancer. He's trying to raise an army of the dead. He and his boys have been harassing people about money around here lately.
The druid returned back into his cabin after bidding me farewell. Money? That sounds just like that warped Moscow from yesterday. He must have worked for this Locknar guy. I better start mining for stone near the druid's cabin. He'd probably make a decent neighbor. By day 3, I started gathering materials for my base. I used my wooden pickaxe to start mining stone in a cave next to the druid's place. Hope he doesn't mind a little construction noise.
Hey, keep down that racket, Zozo. I'm reading.
Now that I know there's a necromancer out there building an army of the dead, I should probably go pay attention to home security. First of all, I took the time to clear out an area and build a big stone wall. This should keep out that warped Moscow if he tries to hassle me for more money. And I won't be able to accidentally burn this wall down either. While I was at it, I needed to get myself a weapon. Maybe I could use some of my spare sticks and wood to make a wooden sword. Hopefully I don't burn it to a crisp. Now I'm looking well prepared. While I was making my way towards the druid's cabin, I noticed something crawling out of the forest. It looked like an elder skulk. Better take care of it before it gets too close to my base. Don't you know it's rude to trespass, Mr. Skulk? Let's go! Hi-ya! With this sword, the elder skulk was no match for me. After I hit it a few times, skillfully dodging its attempts to hit me back, it went scuttling off into the forest again. Nobody beats Fire Godzilla! And clearly that fight made a big difference, because I was starting to get bigger and stronger. I had 5 hearts now, and I could let out a terrifying Godzilla roar! On days 4 and 5, I decided to go a little further into the forest to mine some more stone for my base. The wall was nice, but it wasn't exactly cozy. I needed a roof over my head. I already used some of my spare stone to make a stone pickaxe. But when I ventured out into the deep part of the woods, I ran into an old enemy, the warped Moscow.
You really thought you could get away without paying the toll? You really have no idea who you're dealing with, kid. You don't want my boss to have a problem with you.
Your boss? Is he a necromancer?
You're smarter than you look, Zozo. My boss, Locknar the Necromancer, he's gonna come take over all this soon enough. And if you're not with him, you're against him.
I'd never be the guy who wants to take over a forest by force. I may burn stuff down sometimes, but I'm still a good guy.
Then I guess I've got to destroy you.
The Moscow came at me so fast, I was knocked back off my feet. I pulled out my wooden sword and tried to parry all of his attacks.
You can't hold me off forever, Zozo.
But I was a little faster than he was. Even with my wooden sword, I was able to get the jump on the warped Moscow and defeat him. Looks like I can handle myself decently now. I should probably spend a little more time out of the forest though. On day 6 to 8, I depleted my mine in the forest. At least I was able to find some iron ore though, and craft myself a cool iron sword and an iron pickaxe. Let's just see someone try to mess with me now. But after getting attacked by the Moscow, I wanted to get away from the forest for a while. I decided to take a trip up to the mountain and enjoy that clean mountain air. And I can't burn anything down up here either. It's perfect. But suddenly, a mountain troll approached me, and it seemed like he didn't want to share the mountain with anyone.
This mountain isn't big enough for the both of us, even if you are the puniest Fire Godzilla I've ever seen.
I'm just visiting, man. You don't need to be so mean about it.
How dare you call me mean? I'm gonna crush you into dust for that.
He was so big, and he started chasing me. My only advantage was that I was much faster than him, so I could keep my lead. That's where my iron pickaxe came through. With my iron pickaxe, I quickly mined a big hole in the ground, then carried on running. With my trap set, I decided to taunt the mountain troll by calling him a slowpoke. He ran up to me not looking down, until he fell into the hole and he couldn't climb back out.
A little help in here?
I think you've earned yourself a timeout, mountain troll. On days 9 and 10, I decided to travel further up into the mountain until I found a mountain cave hidden among the rocks. Maybe there will be some treasures hidden in here. Better take a look. I walked into the cave, iron sword at the ready, using the natural light of my fire to light the way. That's when I hit the jackpot. Gold ore deposits. Now that's what I'm talking about. I started to mine the gold when suddenly, despite my fire, it started to get extremely cold inside of the cave. It sent a chill down my spine.
Hello there, little creature.
I turned, and that's when I saw him right there, staring at me. It was Lochnar the Necromancer. Somehow, I could feel the power coming off of him. It was time for me to even the score and use my Fire Godzilla roar. But Lochnar just laughed in response.
Be quiet, boy. Do you have any idea who you're dealing with? When my army walks the earth, every flame like yours will be snuffed out.
I wasn't gonna take that sitting down. I ran at Lochnar with my iron sword and prepared to hit him. But with one strike from him, I was thrown back across the cave.
You're so weak. It's pathetic. You're not even worth destroying yet. Perhaps when you're a little stronger.
And with a flash, Lochnar was gone, and I was left terrified. If even my Fire Godzilla roar did nothing, what hope did I have against him? But it wasn't all bad. I noticed then that I still wasn't alone in the cave. There was a fire villager waiting in there too. When Lochnar was gone, he ran towards me.
I can't believe you survived. Lochnar has been going after all of the flame creatures in the land.
But why? What have we ever done to him?
He's a necromancer. He's trying to raise an army of the undead. And everyone knows the weakness of the undead is fire. He needs to destroy us because we're the biggest threat to him.
Then you're not safe here either. You better come back to my base so we can figure out a plan to stop this. On days 11 through 14, I started expanding my base to make room for my new fire villager friend. Just like me, he was perfectly suited to a fireproof stone house. I built rooms for him and me, and another room where we could hang out together. But this took a lot of stone, and I soon needed to leave the base and mine more. I returned to the mine near the druid's cabin, and even though it was exhausted, it still contained some materials. While I was gathering more stone, I suddenly felt that cold feeling again. Oh no, does this mean the necromancer is behind me again?
Not quite, Zozo. I'm merely one of his servants. He brought me back to life, so I will serve his every order, including destroying you!
It was the Black Death, a plague doctor brought back from the dead. I drew my sword and prepared to battle, but by then, the Black Death was already on me. He hit me and took out some hearts. This guy was way more powerful than me. I ran further into the mine, hoping to find some kind of escape route. But the Black Death was gaining on me. I needed some kind of advantage. Wait, is that a chest? It was a chest. Maybe something in there can save me. I opened up the chest and found a fire aspect enchantment inside. This would give my sword flaming strikes. Perfect! I quickly used the anvil next to the chest to apply the enchantment to my sword. Take this, Black Death! Boom! That got him. The Black Death was set on fire and went running back out of the cave. Fire really does scare off the undead. Safe from the Black Death for now, I traveled back to my base and started making the wall even taller. But now, knowing just how effective fire was against the undead, I made some flaming torches to put on the wall. This should keep out any uninvited guests. On day 15, I went to check on the fire villager and make sure he was settling in nicely. I know from first-hand experience, it isn't easy to be a fire creature.
I find it very comfortable in here, Zozo. Thank you. It's much nicer than having to stay in some damp old cave all day.
So, tell me, what's the deal with this Lochnar guy? Everyone's been telling me that he's trying to raise some kind of army of the undead. Who is he?
Everything you've heard is true, but there's more. People say that Lochnar is over 1,000 years old, and because he's already dead, he can't be destroyed. Centuries ago, he was defeated by a legendary hero and locked up in the swamp of vileness. But somehow, he came back again, and he's trying to finish what he started all those years ago, making an army of the undead so powerful that he'll rule the world forever.
Can the legendary hero come back to defeat him? It sounds like we really need him right now.
That was a long time ago, Zozo. The legendary hero is probably extremely old now, if he's even alive. No, if we want to defeat Lochnar the Necromancer, we need to find a new hero.
Like who?
Well, like you, Zozo. You survived an encounter with him and saved me back in the cave.
No way. Have you seen me? I'm just a little fire Godzilla. The only reason I survived was because he said I was too weak to be worth destroying. I'd stand no chance against him in a real fight. Do you think I could survive a fight with Lochnar? I think I'd need to get a lot stronger first. On days 16 to 19, I started putting together a plan with the fire villager. If Lochnar is destroying fire creatures because he knows they're a threat to his undead army, we better gather up as many fire creatures as we can.
Great idea, Zozo. If memory serves, Lochnar's undead minions were keeping a Blaze prisoner in an underground cavern near here.
Then I guess I better go rescue him. After hours of searching the forest, I found a secret entrance to an underground area, sneakily hidden among some trees. Hopefully I'm not too late to help the Blaze down there. I rushed through the entrance. I made my way into the insides of the underground cavern and took a look around, trying not to draw too much attention to myself. I saw a lava river running through the bottom of the cavern, so my fire wasn't too out of place here. Wait, are those wither skeletons? They were! A bunch of wither skeletons were scattered everywhere along the path leading deeper into the cavern. They must be guarding the prison cell where the Blaze is. I ran in with my new fire aspect sword and started to fight them off as I went deeper and deeper into the cavern. After I took most of them, I unleashed my Fire Godzilla roar. It scared some of the wither skeletons so bad, they ran off faster than their bones could shake. Clearly, all of this fighting was worth some pretty great XP, because I grew to almost twice my size, with almost twice the armor and twice the hearts. Maybe I can be strong enough to take on Lochnar, with the right training. But first, I broke open the prison with my iron pickaxe and freed the Blaze.
Thanks for getting me out of there. It was really starting to get stuffy.
Don't mention it, buddy. How did you get captured?
Well, I was out here searching for the Kyther of Light when I got ambushed by all those skeletons.
You were looking for what?
The Kyther of Light. It's the weapon that the legendary hero used to defeat Lochnar all those years ago. It's said to be the most powerful weapon against the undead in the world.
Oh, wow. Then I should probably start looking for it too. Come back to my base. I want to know more. On days 20 to 22, Blaze and I returned to the base, only to see it being attacked by a horde of zombies. Even the torches I'd added to the walls didn't seem to scare them off. Lochnar was making some really tough undead for us to face. Thankfully, with Blaze at my side, the fight didn't last long. With his flames and my fire sword, we were able to take on the zombies and send them back from whence they came. So long, you undead meanies.
It feels so good to be free and fighting again.
Glad you're back in the groove, Blaze. But while the zombies weren't too difficult to defeat, this incident did make me realize our base needed some better defense. Or at least something to scare off potential attackers. That's when I had a great idea for the statue. The perfect thing to keep the undead away. I started working on the base of the statue with excitement. This is sure to keep the mobs at bay once it's done. Can you tell what it's gonna be? And if you want more adventures like this, subscribe to Zozo, because believe me, the best is yet to come. With Blaze here at the base, I've still got to do one more thing, add a new room for him. With me, Blaze, and the Fire Villager all together, we're a fiery force to be reckoned with. On days 23 to 26, the base came under attack worse than ever before. I woke up to find the base surrounded by mutant skeletons, who were bigger, faster, and stronger than even wither skeletons. I ran out with my fire aspect sword and started attacking them, one by one. Each mutant skeleton took several hits with the sword to down. These guys were tougher than any grunt enemy I'd faced so far. A little help here, guys? Luckily for me, Blaze and the Fire Villager were there to help. With the three of us working together, we were able to drive off the remaining mutant skeletons back into the woods. That'll teach you to attack our base, skellies. Oh look, one of the mutant skeletons dropped a bow. That's perfect. I needed a good long-range weapon for my arsenal. What should I do next?
Zozo,
Yes, Blaze?
now we fought off the mutant skeletons, you should start exploring the deep dark woods for the Kyther of Light. We need it to defeat Lochnar the Necromancer.
Good idea, Blaze. I journeyed out into the deepest, darkest part of the forest, knowing it would be the exact kind of place where Lochnar's minions would be waiting for me. And I was right, but I wasn't the only one. There was a fire elemental being surrounded by mutant zombies. The strongest zombies yet. Lucky for me, I had my new bow. I pulled it out, keeping a distance as I fired arrows at the mutant zombies. They seemed so shocked by my surprise attack, they retreated further into the dark of the forest. I'd saved the fire elemental. Wanna come back to my base, little buddy? I'm collecting fire creatures. He seemed eager, so we headed back to the base. I built a new room to house the fire elemental, and built in a new base defense. Large holes dug into the ground around the base, so any stumbling zombies thinking of attacking would fall right in. I'm feeling safer already. On days 27 to 31, I started off by asking Blaze to tell me everything he knows about the Kyther of Light, seeing as it may be our best chance to defeat Lochnar the Necromancer.
It's an ancient weapon, Zozo, supposedly created by a powerful group of sorcerers, for if there was ever a great evil they needed to strike down. The legend goes that only someone pure of heart can wield the Kyther. To a being of evil, it's useless.
But how can I find it? Even the most powerful weapon in the world is only useful if it's in our hands.
Perhaps the legendary hero would have hidden the Kyther in the last place the undead would think to look, the Nether.
Oh no, the Nether? That's one of the most dangerous places out there. I guess if it's the only place I can find the Kyther, it's off to the Nether I go. With my sword and my bow, I set off for an old Nether portal in the woods. It's now or never. Yeah, bad joke, sorry. On the other side of the portal, it was all flames and lava. A fire Godzilla honestly looked kind of at home here. What didn't look at home was a huge, scary pigless running straight towards me.
You must be Zozo. I guess you're here looking for the Kyther of Light. Brave kid.
And I guess you're here to find the Kyther too, before I can find it.
You're a smart kid too, but I've got orders direct from Lochnar. Only one of us is leaving the Nether. Let's go.
I tried to draw my bow, but the pigless was too fast for me. I was lucky enough to pull out my sword just in time to counter his attack. Before he knew it, I hit him back and eventually managed to hit him in a way that made him touch lava, and due to that, he screamed a bit and moved away.
You're tougher than you look, but I'll get you next time, you little twerp.
And with that, he ran off into the depths of the Nether. On days 32 to 35, I traveled deeper into the Nether, leaving the wastes and entering the Crimson Forest. Wow, this place is super scary. If the legendary hero really hid the Kyther here, he must have been one tough warrior. The Nether has some of the scariest mobs around, but I was surprised to see a familiar face amongst all the trees and lava. It was a baboon, just like the one I met on my first day here.
Hey, aren't you the one who burned down my tree?
I'm sorry, Mr. Baboon. It was an accident. I'm a fire Godzilla. Sometimes I burn stuff down.
Whatever. It doesn't matter now. What are you doing in the Crimson Forest?
I'm looking for the Kyther of Light to defeat Lochnar the Necromancer.
Wait, you too? He attacked my family with some zombies. I heard the Kyther might be hidden in the Soul Sand Desert. Let's travel together. We have better odds.
Sounds good to me, Mr. Baboon. We traveled together to the Soul Sand Desert, which was every bit as bleak and barren as the name suggests. I then noticed Lochnar the Necromancer standing on top of a floating island.
Hello again, Zozo, was it? Nothing about you was particularly memorable.
You're all smug now, Lochnar, but you won't be when we find the Kyther and defeat you.
You won't be able to find anything when you're dead.
Suddenly, the ground below me and Mr. Baboon began to shake. I drew my bow and fired at Lochnar, but he didn't even flinch. It was useless. If we couldn't escape, we'd be done for. That's when I had an idea. I turned and fired my bow at one of the ghasts. That should get the attention of him and his ghastly friends. With Lochnar preoccupied with the ghast, Mr. Baboon and I ran away, back towards the Nether portal.
That was some quick thinking back there, Zozo. You really saved our skins.
I couldn't have done it without you. Come back to the base with me. You can join our anti-Lochnar squad. And with that, we exited the Nether. On days 36 to 39, I returned back to the base with the baboon. I built him a little treehouse because he didn't find the stone fortress as comfy as me and my fire creature friends. I gathered my new basemates together, the fire villager, Blaze, the fire elemental, and the baboon. I needed to hear their thoughts on my hunt for the Kyther. It wasn't in the Nether Wastes, the Crimson Forest, or the Soul Sand Desert. If the Kyther really is hidden in the Nether, where could it be?
You're telling me you didn't check the basalt deltas?
The basalt deltas? What's that?
It's the most dangerous place in the Nether, Zozo. If the legendary hero really didn't want the Kyther to be found, that'd be the best place to hide it.
The most dangerous place in the Nether? I can't go there yet. The rest of the Nether was already dangerous enough. If the Kyther was really in the basalt deltas, I needed to get stronger to get there, and I needed a little more inspiration. That's why I started working more on the statue. I must say, it's coming along quite nicely. From days 40 to 43, Blaze approached me, knowing I was feeling nervous about going back into the Nether.
Look, Zozo, the Nether is a scary place. I know, I used to live there. But sometimes, when you can't fight your way through, you need to sneak.
But Blaze, I can't sneak. I'm a Fire Godzilla. I'm too easy to spot.
I know, but that's where my new plan comes in. There's a potion recipe hidden in a book I left in a lava canyon near here. If you can go get it for me, I'll make you a potion you'll find extremely useful.
So that's exactly what I did. I found my way to the underground lava canyon. It was really hot down there, but thankfully, Fire Godzillas don't mind the heat. There had to be a chest down there somewhere. If someone left a book down here on its own, it'd just burn up. But my thoughts were interrupted when suddenly a huge serpent tried to grab me. It was a heck of a jump scare. I'm not on the menu, so slither on by, you reptile. I managed to hit it and knock it into the fiery depths below. That will teach you to mess with a Fire Godzilla. As I continued to explore, I saw the chest tucked away in a corner. Let's take a look inside. A book! Jackpot! I then proceeded to leave the lava canyon and make my way back to the base. I gave the book over to Blaze, and he made me a potion.
This right here is a potion of invisibility. It might make your journey into the basalt deltas a little less dangerous.
Thanks, Blaze. This is perfect. On days 40 to 49, I made my way back to the Nether portal deep in the forest. Here goes nothing. After landing in the Nether, I made my way through to the basalt deltas. My friends weren't kidding when they said this place was dangerous. It looks impossible to even build here. I took the potion of invisibility and started to sneak through. There were sheer cliffs everywhere. I had to be careful so that I didn't fall.
Help me, please! Someone help me!
Oh no, is that an illager? What's he doing in here? And why is he surrounded by Endermen? I can't just leave him like that. I need to help him, even if it means wasting my invisibility. Still keeping my distance, I pulled out my bow. I opened fire at the Endermen, causing them to teleport away. That gave me a window to get the illager out of there. Come with me if you want to live. Me and the illager ran for the hills until we were out of the basalt delta and back in the much safer Soul Sand Valley.
Thank you, kind stranger. You saved me. How can I ever repay you?
You can tell me everything you know about the Kyther of Light. I need it to defeat Lochnar the Necromancer.
Wait, the Kyther of Light? That reminds me of an old poem I used to hear all the time when I was a kid. Who seeks the Kyther, brave and true, venture into the forest blue.
The forest blue. Wait, that sounds like the warped forest. It's the only place in the Nether I haven't checked. Come with me, we'll go find it. On days 50 to 53, me and my new friend the illager made our way into the warped forest, one of the slightly nicer parts of the Nether. I might have even enjoyed it if we weren't ambushed by that pigless I fought earlier.
Hey, looky here. It's that dweeb, Zozo.
Name calling? Really? That's just uncalled for, man.
No, Zozo. What's uncalled for is you being here. Me and the rest of Lochnar's boys have already found the Kyther, and it's far away from here. You're gonna get destroyed in the Nether for nothing.
That's it. You're going down, Pigless. But Pigless pulled a dirty trick. He didn't go for me. He went straight for the illager, taking him down immediately. No, you can't do that.
I can do whatever I want. Let's tango, Zozo.
We clashed again, but this time I was stronger than before. I dodged his attacks easily, and with a few well-placed strikes from my fire sword, Pigless was done for. With him gone, I was all alone in the Nether again. Maybe Pigless had lied about them taking the Kyther. I had to explore and find out. There was a bastion remnant, an ancient ruined fortress nearby, and it seemed like the exact kind of place the legendary hero might have hidden the Kyther. Instead, all I found was a great beast, cowering in the shadows.
Is the Pigless gone? That guy dragged me along with him to help him find the Kyther. Most of the rest of our team was destroyed by nether mobs. It was horrible.
It's okay, I defeated the Pigless. You said he made you work for him. Do you have any idea where they may have taken the Kyther?
Tough to say. I think Pigless mentioned something about taking it back to the camp. He probably meant the one in the wasteland, back outside the Nether.
Perfect, so at least I know where to look next. Let's get out of here.
Wait, before you go, you deserve a reward for taking out that jerk Pigless. I was gonna use it myself, but here, it's a knockback enchantment. Your strikes will knock back your enemies now.
Oh, finally, some good luck. From days 54 to 57, I returned to my base and started making some adjustments. I added some guard towers so that we could spot any incoming threats faster. Just as I finished repairing and adding the knockback enchantment to my iron sword, the fire villager staying in the base approached me, looking very worried.
Zozo, I need a hand. I've been looking into it, and I've seen that a mutant zombie is skulking out in the forest outside. You should probably go take care of it while I'm working on an extremely important potion.
This would be the perfect opportunity to try my new knockback ability. I ran out into the forest, and just as the fire villager had told me, there was a mutant zombie making its way towards our base. I needed to put a stop to it. Come on, mutant zombie, you're no match for me. And I was right. With the knockback enchantment on my fire sword, I defeated it in no time and headed back to the base.
Great work, Zozo. And here's your reward. I made a potion of slow falling. When you take it, it eliminates fall damage. You never know when that'll come in handy.
On days 58 to 62, I continued work on the statue. I was really pleased with how it was coming along. Can you guess what it is yet? Suddenly, I heard the baboon yell out in panic from his treehouse.
Guys, something is coming towards us.
I looked out and saw a mob coming towards us. Creepers, courtesy of Lochnar the Necromancer. This is bad, this is really bad! But before we could do anything, the first wave of creepers had already hit. Several of them exploded, taking out huge chunks of the defensive wall, and others started crawling through the new gaps. I decided to rush in and finally get rid of the creeper menace. They started exploding again, taking out chunks of the base. By the time I managed to turn the tide of the fight, huge portions of our base had already been destroyed. When I had the advantage, the last surviving creeper ran off back into the forest. The fight was over. For now. We need to start rebuilding immediately. Blaze, fire villager. Wait, where's Baboon? That's when we realized the creepers had blown up Baboon's treehouse with Baboon inside of it. From days 63 to 66, hungry for fiery vengeance, I followed the last remaining creeper back into the woods. You and your friends aren't going to get away with destroying Mr. Baboon. I chased him into the forest and saw him disappear down into an underground cavern. I was so angry, I didn't even think about how dangerous it could be to chase a creeper into an enclosed place. I hopped down into the cavern, but the creeper was nowhere to be seen. Instead, I found a book laying on the ground containing a secret note. Invade the base and destroy them all. Any survivors must return to the camp in the desert. G-O-A-W. G-O-A-W? Who's that? Wait, the camp in the desert. That's where they must be keeping the Kyther of Light. It was only then that I looked up and saw the creeper crawling quickly towards me. No time to think. On pure instinct, I pulled out my bow and fired. Boom! The creeper exploded, taking out a portion of the cavern. Lucky for me, thanks to the quick reflexes, I was out of the blast zone. From days 67 to 70, I traveled for 2 days all the way out to the desert. It was a really tough journey, but by the end, I finally saw the camp. It was a cabin surrounded by campfires, with a ghostly figure floating around it. It looked like the ghost of an ancient warrior. Lochnar the Necromancer must be able to raise skeletons, zombies, and ghosts. Wait, ghost of ancient warrior? That must be G-O-A-W, the one who wrote the note. He must be a pretty big deal. As I got close, I noticed there was a gorge in the desert just outside the camp. Better not fall in. I drew my bow and fired at the ghost, but predictably, the arrow went straight through him. That's when he threw through the air and lunged at me. He didn't even talk, he was all action. I managed to dodge and strike back with my sword, but he parried. This guy was a better fighter than anyone I'd ever faced. I didn't even know if I could defeat him. That's when I had an idea. If I'm not strong enough to beat him yet, I can still trick him. Before he could attack me again, I quickly drank my potion of slow falling. Then, when he attacked me again, I jumped back and fell into the gorge. To him, it looked like I fell to my doom, but thanks to the potion, I was just fine. When the ghost finally floated away, I climbed back up to the top. Kyther of Light, here I come! On days 71 to 74, I was finally able to make my way into the cabin being guarded by the ghost of the ancient warrior. Except, the Kyther wasn't there. The cabin was empty. All I heard was the echoing laughter of Lochnar the Necromancer. He was always a few steps ahead. Once again, it all been for nothing. I made the long trek back to my damaged base, empty-handed. On days 75 to 78, I came back to the base and noticed how damaged it really was. It was still heavily damaged from the creeper assault, and I needed to start the repairs immediately, so I did just that. But I felt terrible knowing that now Mr. Baboon is gone, I didn't need to rebuild the treehouse. As I finished up the repairs, the fire villager approached me.
Hey Zozo, I just wanted to say I'm sorry you didn't find the Kyther, but I know you're strong enough to beat Lochnar anyway. I figured this might help.
That's when he handed me a diamond sword with fire aspect, the strongest weapon I'd ever had my hands on. Wow, thanks, Fire Villager! It may not be the Kyther of Light, but it's the next best thing. And it turns out that the diamond sword couldn't have come at a better time, because suddenly, the ghost of the ancient warrior had returned, and he was flying at me. Guess it's time for a rematch. But this time, I didn't need any cheap tricks to take him down. Using my new diamond sword, I dodged his blows and struck him again and again, until he burst into ghost vapor and disappeared. I immediately started growing larger and larger, as well as doubling my hearts. But it wasn't just that. With my new size, I gained Godzilla strength, making all my close-range attacks 3 times as powerful. Just then, the fire villager ran up to me.
You did it, Zozo. You defeated the ghost of the ancient warrior. That's amazing. Wait, Zozo, I found this where the ghost vaporized.
It looks like a notebook. The latest note read, Lochnar is nearly at his full power. The final arrangements are being put into place. Destroy Zozo and the druid. Wait, the druid from the cabin? He's involved in this too? On days 79 to 84, I knocked on the door of the druid's cabin to find out how he was involved in all of this. Just like when I first met him, he wasn't eager to have me as a visitor.
Keep your distance, Fire Godzilla. You're even bigger than last time, and my house is very flammable.
I don't want to burn your house down, druid, but I know someone who does. I've seen instructions from Lochnar the necromancer. He wants to destroy me and you. What does he have against you?
Ugh, Lochnar again? I thought I was done with that guy.
What do you mean?
I defeated him a few hundred years ago and sealed him away. I figured he'd stay gone for good, but I guess not.
Wait, does that mean you're the legendary hero?
I was, sure, but then I retired to become a druid. It's a much easier life. And besides, you should be fine. As long as you have the Kythar, he won't be that hard to defeat.
But he has the Kyther.
Oh, okay. This could be bad.
After our conversation, the druid led me back out into the forest to find another nether portal. He'd hid another weapon in the nether all those years ago as backup, if ever the Kyther fell into the wrong hands. But when we arrived at the side of the portal, it had already been destroyed.
This isn't good. If Lochnar destroyed the nether portal, it means he doesn't need it anymore. He's reaching the full height of his powers.
What do we do now?
Well, from where I'm standing, the only option is to…
An arrow shot out of the woods, hitting the druid and destroying him before he could even finish his sentence. No, this can't be happening! I turned to see a small gang of skeletons emerge out of the thicket behind us. As they ran at me, I made short work of them with my diamond fire sword. But now, I was out of options and out of time. There was only one thing left to do. I need to find the Swamp of Vileness and destroy Lochnar myself. On days 85 to 89, I made my way out to the snowy landscapes of the north, where I finally found the great beast I'd met back in the nether. As far as I could tell, he would be the only one who could tell me where to find the Swamp of Vileness and finally track down Lochnar the necromancer himself.
I know where to find it, but it won't be easy. It's beyond the forest, but you can only go at night. And that's the thing. That creep is strongest at night. So if you're gonna take him on, you better be well defended.
That's a useful tip. Thanks, Great Beast. From days 90 to 94, I decided to take the Great Beast's advice and armor up. I used my iron pickaxe to mine some diamonds and turned them into a full set of diamond armor, helmet, chestplate, leggings, and boots. But I didn't want to stop there. I needed some enchantments to really make sure I could take a punch from Lochnar and his evil army of the undead. I gave myself the protection enchantment. That makes my armor twice as durable against close-range attacks, and projectile protection, which kept me safe from ranged attacks. Let's see Lochnar take me on now. From days 95 to 97, I finally finished the statue. Its flame could be seen from miles away and should keep all the bad mobs away from my base once and for all. It was a beacon of hope for all fire mobs, a bright, brilliant beacon that could be seen from miles away. And that's when I realized why I had to take on Lochnar and his undead minions. I could either use my fire powers to destroy, like when I accidentally burned down Mr. Baboon's tree, or I could use it to be a beacon of hope, to fight back against evil whenever I can, because it's the right thing to do. So it's exactly what I was going to do. On day 98, I spoke to the fire villager in Blaze about my plan to attack the Swamp of Vileness and finally take down Lochnar.
You can't do this alone, Zozo. You're strong, but Lochnar is so powerful, and he has an entire army.
He's right, Zozo. Why don't you let us come with you? Surely we'll be stronger together.
I can't put you at risk like that. You need to stay here as backup, in case Lochnar defeats me and his undead army escapes. But I can't let that happen. Trust me, no matter what, I'm going to defeat Lochnar and put an end to his evil reign of terror. With that, I exited the base, but was suddenly stopped by someone I haven't met before. Can I help you? He said nothing and dropped me a note and left. The note said, if you want to help me defeat Lochnar, you should subscribe to Zozo and check out our other adventures. You can even suggest what you want to see next down in the comments. Alright. I'm sure with the help of you guys, I'll actually manage to defeat Lochnar. On day 99, following the instructions of the Great Beast, I made my way to the Swamp of Vileness in the dead of night. It was every bit as creepy as I'd imagined. Mist hung low, the mossy skeletons, minions of Lochnar, were patrolling back and forth. I didn't have any more potions of invisibility. I needed to fight my way through. Okay, Skellies, come get me. I want to speak to your manager. That got their attention. Suddenly, waves of mossy skeletons started running at me, while others fired bows at me from a distance. Thankfully, with my enchanted diamond armor, I could deflect most of the damage, and my enchanted diamond sword could destroy them in one strike each. But that wasn't the problem. The mossy skeletons may have been weak, but every single time I defeated them, more just kept coming out of the fog. Don't you guys know when to quit?
They are the least of your worries, Zozo.
It was Lochnar. I could hear his voice, but I couldn't see him. It was like he was everywhere around me.
If you survive this onslaught, come a little further and meet me in my crypt. It'll be the last thing you ever do.
I wasn't going to let him get away with that. No matter how many skeletons he threw at me, I'd keep fighting to the very end. With my sword at the ready and my flames brighter than ever, I moved in towards the crypt of Lochnar. On day 100, I fought through the mossy skeletons and reached the crypt, which looked like a big, rickety pile of ancient stone. But there were stronger enemies waiting for me there. Mutant skeletons and mutant zombies came running at me, but my sword was ready. I hit them again and again, sending one after another down. But just like the mossy skeletons, more of them kept coming. I'm really starting to get sick of you guys. I unleashed a mighty Fire Godzilla roar that could be heard across all of the Swamp of Vileness, and it knocked out all of the undead at once. It was just me in the crypt, so I pulled out my iron pickaxe and started destroying it, just to spite Lochnar. But just then, I fell down deeper into the crypt. Oh my gosh, there it is! That's the Kyther of Light! This is where he's been keeping it! I grabbed the Kyther. Now, I was ready to take on Lochnar.
I wouldn't be so confident, Zozo.
Boom! Lochnar appeared behind me, more powerful than he'd ever been before.
Do you really think you can beat this?
Lochnar began to grow as his power increased, becoming a huge, monstrous super necromancer. Like this, he really did look like he could take over the world. But I wasn't done yet. And do you really think you can beat this? I summoned up all of my power and channeled it. My flames got brighter as I grew, taking in the power of the Kyther of Light. I became Ultra Fire Godzilla with 30 hearts and almost unbreakable armor.
You can't do this. It isn't fair.
Life isn't fair, Lochnar. Let's go. Lochnar threw everything at me, hitting me again and again, but getting nothing. Now it's my turn. With one mighty swing of the Kyther, with all my power behind it, Lochnar was destroyed once and for all, never to raise another undead minion again. Safe at last, I returned to the base to celebrate with the Fire Villager and Blaze. Things were finally looking up for all of us.